V for Vendetta film trends on Twitter as fans point out parallels to 2020. The flick was originally released in 2005, and was based on comics that began in the early 80s. 2020 just got a little bit weirder. 11 months into a year rocked by racial tension, a divisive election and a pandemic, the film V for Vendetta has trended on Twitter as fans point out eerie similarities between the film and the events of 2020. The 2006 flick takes place as a second civil war takes its toll on the United States and a pandemic sweeps across Europe. Even stranger, the film is set either in or very close to 2020. Famed film critic Roger Ebert said in his review that the film was set in 2020 while others suggest is set sometime within the decade. Furthermore, the film centers on events taking place on November 5, a reference to Guy Fawkes. It's the 5th of November. V for Vendetta was a warning to society about fascism, and that warning came utterly true this year, said a fan of the film. Rewatch it again to see. It is quite literally 2020, the movie, and it is quite literally an absolute masterpiece. We must never forget the 5th of November. It's the 5th of November. Just hit us how we're being ushered into a corrupt, totalitarian, dystopic nightmare, growing eerily similar to V for Vendetta, which surprisingly also takes place in 2020, another pointed out. Two other fave films on same subject matter, Equilibrium and Minority Report. So V for Vendetta is set in 2020/2021, and let me tell ya it hits different this year, a third wrote. A fourth joked, remember the 5th of November. Wait, I didn't know V for Vendetta was a documentary. In the film, a man known as V encourages an uprising against Parliament on November 5, the anniversary of Fawkes' arrest after a failed assassination attempt on King James I. The film was inspired by a series of comic books of the same name that began their run in the 1980s. Hugo Weaving portrayed V while Natalie Portman played Evie, a follower. The lauded Wachowski twins wrote the screenplay and James McTighe directed. Per IMDb, V for Vendetta netted over $132 million worldwide. Rumors have also circulated that a TV series based on the comics is also in the works. V for Vendetta can be rented or purchased on VOD services.